Hey guys, Joe Miles here with Osseo Gear. This is the Mission Whitetail podcast. We're going to be doing a deep dive into what it truly takes to kill these mature bucks. We're going to step outside the box and look at the why for gear, tactics, training, and more importantly, the mindset from over 35 years of chasing these magnificent animals all over North America. Thank you for following along and welcome to Mission Whitetail. Welcome back, guys. Mission Whitetail episode 51. We are closing in on 2 years, if you can believe it. And I am fired up about today's episode. We have got Andrae D'Acquisto, Bobby Worthington, Andy May, Don Higgins, and Adam Hays that are all taking 10 to 15 minutes to go through their scent elimination system and what they do or what they don't do. And I think it's going to be surprising. It's going to be interesting to hear how they go about it, what they've experienced, and all these guys are serious big buck killers that would not do anything that they think would harm or hurt them. They're all doing it for their betterment, and I am just really excited to get into this with these guys. So up first is our good friend Andrae D'Acquisto from Lone Wolf Custom Gear. So let's get Andrae on the phone and we'll get going. Thanks, guys.
Hello.
There he is.
Hey, man.
What's happening, buddy?
Okay, so this is like on scent control, which...
Yep, I just wanted to, I'm going to talk to 4 or 5 guys today, and guys that are real big buck killers that have been doing it for years and years and years, and just want to hear if you do anything at all, or if you are just, completely against it. What is your process with scent control or anything at all?
Okay, so it pissed me off one day that someone, I think it was one of the guys out there, thinks I apply to the same facts as some of these guys that just play the wind to a T and don't any scent control at all. I'm a fucking nut on scent control and maintaining good, clean hygiene, and I think I got it figured out. I don't use any artificial stuff, any of the products out there. But so the basic with mine is clean clothes, like the outer garments, like your outer garments I'm wearing now. I'm washing those things once, and then I get my garments out in the sun and oxygen. So my scent control is Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I can even tell, so that outer garment really never gets contaminated. If I'm just wearing it hunting, my under gets contaminated, and that gets washed, obviously daily, all fresh stuff, but then that goes out in the air and the sun also. But it seems to me and I would use that scent-free, dye-free, just regular Arm & Hammer soap.
Yep.
Same with my body stuff is scent-free Arm & Hammer underarm deodorant, antibacterial, hair wash, and all that. So I'm coming in clean. All the bacteria is killed as much as possible on your body. It's still there. I got fresh clothes that been out in oxygen and out in the sun.
Yep.
The overall clothes out there, and then when I'm going in, the most important thing, if you can do it, even late season, is not breaking that sweat.
Yep.
Getting out there. As soon as that heat and moisture happens, bacteria just grows in minutes. It starts spreading and growing. If you got contaminated clothes, as soon as that gets there, that bacteria is already there, just ready to ignite, and so cottons and stuff are tough on that.
Yeah.
Another big thing I think guys miss is they go through a ritual, and then they grab a towel that's been in there that's been contaminated or has been used before. So your towels, to have that all clean, you take a good clean shower. You're wiping yourself down with a clean clothes, and then you're getting out there. So I like to carry my garments out, and I noticed again this year a couple times. I broke that sweat, and man, you can just tell the difference between the animals nailing you and not when it's and you already know, cold, dry, less detection, and when it's damp early season, it's a nightmare to control any type of scent because they just pick you up. So
Yeah. No, that is,
on top of that, then playing the wind to a tee and on a great spot, you're doing all you can do.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I think guys that have been doing this forever, you're the third or fourth guy to say this. If you sweat on your way in or doing your thing, you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's and even it'll be less of a trouble if it's you're sweating and it's 20 degrees and everything's still pretty cold, but man, you get that the dampness in your clothes. It's like an incubation deal. And what I like about that is I scout every day. I look for new spots every day, even when I'm on a good deer. So when I get down in the morning, after coming in, I'm dry, I'm clean, no food contamination, don't run back and have lunch and then go back out and scout. I'm hitting the ground completely clean and leaving the less amount of I think in my travels as I can. So,
yep.
Then I get back, I leave my clothes out in the sun, the outer garments, leave them hanging in the air, and then all the undergarments, the merino wool, whatever you're wearing underneath, that all gets washed again daily, but then still put out in the air and all that.
So do you have like two sets? Like if you go...
I got loads of sets.
Yeah.
Underarm drawer, and I got my top drawer. It fills the whole foot.
So you'll get into fresh clothes in the morning. You'll go out. You'll climb down. You'll scout. You'll come back. You'll take those off. You'll have lunch or whatever it may be, and then you'll put on a new set of clothes while those other ones are getting washed, and then off you go for the afternoon.
Well, I have a ton of clothes, so they're not. It's not like I'm washing every day, but I'm going out in the evening. I'm showering again, and I'm coming in clean and dry and in good shape.
Yeah.
And again, the outer garments, I used to wash them all the time, and I was finding out that it seemed like, I don't know, they're a little bigger, bulky, and heavier. It almost seems like it would take 2 days after a washing for those things to really be a little more scent-free. It's like that first day out, I don't know if there still is some kind of odor from, scent-free type of detergent or whatever it is, but in the fresh air. And I think ozone does that too, if you could, that's oxygen, right? Where that
yep.
Clean
yep.
and kill bacteria. So I'm just Mother Nature's oxygen. It's out in the wind, and the sun obviously kills stuff too. So fresh, clean start, and then then you play your wind to tee, and man, you can be just feeling like Superman out there sometimes and just getting away with murder, where other times it's just, especially early, guys getting it done in October and that damp, shitty air, stagnant air, that's a tough nut.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that is tough. And down here we start August 15th, but the one, it's crazy. So, you walk 100 yards and you're pouring, but the thing about it is our thermals don't switch till after dark. It's so dang hot. It's so hot that they're blasting up until after dark. So
exactly. And then you're, on top of that, with that, if you ain't got any wind at all, your freaking scent will, just like a mushroom, drop to the bottom of the tree and just expand and fill up a whole freaking area where you're almost not. I've had it already and then these deer, they get that little, I call it like a thermal creep or a scent that's just real minor but out there, and they all just kind of sense something's up.
Yep.
And everything stops. And then other shit's coming and everything. Nobody wants to make a move because they don't know where the hell it came from. And I'm looking at my freaking weather app, and it's supposed to start picking up a wind. And you're going to see when that wind starts to pick up and steadily clear out, everything starts moving again because it's like they don't smell it anymore. But it's tough.
Yeah, if it's still and humid, it's terrible.
I don't know how you guys do that down there. It stays so warm and hot like that, but it's even here you get the same. But what we get here is we'll start getting those nice days where we get a great thermal movement because it heats up, and then you get that cold evenings, and then you'll get it really heat up quick, so you get a good thermal move, and then we get to start to get the later October, it starts to get cooler. But yeah, I don't know how. And we're an October 1 start, so but scent control. I'm not the guy that believes in the suits at all. The magic you wash, and then you get thinking that you're invincible, and then you go try and cheating cheating Mother Nature, and you end up getting busted. I've turned so many guys that were on. I'm not bad mouthing anybody's suits or whatever. They think that they got it figured out with that, and then they don't pay attention to wind and personal hygiene, and you get murdered, And when I taught them about that and not using that as a handicap, you should see these guys they started killing some decent deer, and then steadily, because they weren't cheating at it anymore. They were making sure they were, I'm a filthy, I'm gonna throw a scent lock suit on, and it's I can do anything I want now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think, one of the big ones that I may overlook some is that towel. That was a heck of a tip.
Yeah.
The towel is a good tip.
So I know that is I got this big nose on my face is like a wolf nose. I have a really, man, I can smell, and my wife with perfume and shit.
Yeah.
Where it's just a little hint to somebody else, it's absolutely annoying. And you probably, you smelled they're stinkier, but you can smell a buck in the woods and follow through just that stagnant air where you went, and it's just lingering.
Yeah.
So I take my nose and I smell a boot, or I smell the freaking clothes, or like I've said many times in other podcasts, my wife hates me because I'm one of those clean freaks, so I'm constantly, any garment that I'm on is getting washed, and I am not wearing it twice.
Yep.
And she'll try and sneak a T-shirt into my closet, and I will smell that one day old shirt in between them all, because it's same with the clothes. As soon as it gets, or the towel, as soon as I start wiping myself down, it was dry, and it gets damp, I can smell that odor just freaking lingering on that towel,
Yep. Or mildew, like if they don't get dried in time, they get that mildew smell to them. But you're exactly right.
Same with that original. I love down, but that old original, once it got damp and it got that bacteria in there, it's impossible to even freaking hunt with that stuff. So trying to think anything else. Same thing with boots, synthetic, I think, over leather and rubber smells. You clean I used to try and clean rubber boots with Arm & Hammer. It would reopen the pores and smell like rubber worse. So you let that get that skin on there, and stay as clean as you possibly can. And freaking, that's half the battle, But
yep, cool.
And, don't get me wrong. There's stand sites you can get in that you can smell like anything. They're just bulletproof, but more than not, they aren't. So.
No, that's awesome. Andrae, that's exactly what we were looking for, man. I appreciate that, and you've been doing this a long time and knocked down a bunch of big ones. So that's guys can learn something.
Yeah,
heck, I learned today. I mean, the towel is a big thing, and I hadn't really thought about that in the past, but that's a one I'm writing down right here as well.
Yeah, and the other thing is your wife's going to try and slip them towels in our normal detergent.
Yep.
So you keep your towels separate for really. I mean, that scent that's on them towels, that you wipe yourself down, and now that scent is on your body. It's just
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Is, when you go in and take a shower, people realize this, that even walking through a house that cooking was done, sometimes I try and she sees me running through from one side to the other. Like, what are you doing? I said, I want this to settle on, or maybe I was dressed and ready to go out. Your body, again, when you get in there and you're just cooking, they got breakfast, whatever, go jump in the shower then, and you can literally, when that hot water hits your body, you can smell all the frickin' food.
Yep.
Molecules that were on your body that you couldn't smell before, but now they're reactivated because of the heat and the moisture. And man, we're running around filthier than shit.
Without a doubt. That is 100% true.
It's over, so.
For sure.
All right.
Good, Andrae. Well, man, thank you so much, and I'll get in touch with you soon about the show schedule and the mobile shows and all that. So we'll get all that squared away for next year. Looking forward to it.
Okay, sounds good, man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
See you, pal. Bye. How are you, buddy?
All right. How about I forgot that podcast was today?
Oh, no. We don't need but 10 or 12 minutes, my friend. We just going to talk a little bit about scent control because I know you are real particular about that. And but before we get into that, tell me about these puppies. How's my buddy Bear doing? Did he get his shots today?
Yeah, he got his shots 2 days ago.
Oh, good.
We're here at the veterinarian office right now. It was just a good place to pull over, and I put radar up on their son. So he wanted me sitting around the truck, but I got one of the babies here in the truck with me.
Which one you got? Pumpkinhead?
Nope, one of the blonde-colored males. I've just got 3 left now.
Oh, only 3 dogs left?
Yeah, they went pretty fast, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, if you don't mind, I've got this thing recording now. Will you walk us through your scent regimen and what you do to try to beat these whitetails' nose? Lucas, you sure that's recording?
Well, I want to say first that it's I still play the wind. Anybody that uses scent control, I think all of them still play the wind, but anything you can do, sometimes you can't eliminate it, but sometimes the deer can smell it so slight that they think maybe that you're further away or that you're already gone. So it's like everything else. It's just a matter of degree that you can do it. But I have often completely beat their nose. I don't know if everybody wants to go to that degree with it because it takes a little time and takes a little effort. If you're in a tight funnel and your wind's blowing out into a lake or over a big bluff, you don't have to worry about it. But sometimes the thing's a little bit sketchy and you do have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute important thing. I mean, that's their number one line of defense, and anything you can do to help that. And, when they get to scent, like your beagles, when we were up there rabbit hunting, that beagle, when he's smelling that rabbit on the ground, he's got to make a decision, right? Is this hot enough for me to get on and follow, or do I need to keep looking for something fresher? And I think the deer does the same thing. When he hits your scent, either whether you walked in or out of the stand, he's got to decide whether it's fresh enough for him to spook off of, or if he's okay with it and content with it and will continue on his path.
That's exactly right. Now, I have completely beat their nose. I've had a doe in heat one time downwind of me, 15 yards, and I was up about her level. I was up a tree, a ditch, and she come around that corner about my level, and she was in heat, and she kept running back and blading and flagging. And I didn't know at first. I thought there was actually a buck had slipped in the drainage, and I looked around and didn't see one. Then I remembered I had a fresh tarsal gland from a buck in my fanny pack. So she actually smelled it. So she was right in my scent. Never did alert. I have that happen a lot, Joe, but it's common sense. You take a shower as soon as possible before you go in the woods with a good unscented soap. You make sure your clothes is clean. Now, I don't wash the outer layer every time if I hadn't sweated, but if I sweat, I do. But I try to change the inner layer, go to the woods. And we just buy Tide Free or that Arm & Hammer free bacon. I don't know if it's baking soda, but it's close to term. We just buy it all through the hunting season. That way I don't have to wash my clothes separate than anything else. We can just throw it in there, and that's what we keep throughout the hunting season. So, you're not adding to your clothes. And I just tell you, a lot of people overlook it. I wear muck a lot of times if it's not real. And I've got 2 pair. And what I'll do every night when I come in, spray a pair down real good. Some kind of good scent eliminator spray. It's a difference. They all seem to be made about the same. They're probably from the same company, really. But I don't know, according to what label they got on them. But I had no favorite. I spray my boots down, and I'll put boot warmer up there where they'll be dry and ready to go the next day. The next day I'll do, and I'll switch them out like that. If I'm walking a long way, and I feel like I'm contaminating my boots pretty bad, I'll take that same soap that I shower with, and I'll put it in the boots, and I'll wash them out really good, wash them around really good, put them on the dryer. And you got to be careful about your hat, too. Keep 2 halves, the same thing. I'll spray one of them down heavy and lay it up, and I'll switch them out. So it's the little things like that people don't think about. Your if you shoot a release or a strap that goes around your wrist, you can't possibly sweat in that. I'll fall and not clean it and expect to be able to beat the it's just common sense. It's just little stuff like that. I'll tell you this: do everything to a finite degree and sweat going stand. If the small of my back or under my arm, I don't care how much precaution I've gone through. It don't matter. They're going to smell me. So I walk really slow to my stand, and I really work hard and sweat. So.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Bobby, and we hear that over and over again. If you start sweating, the game's up, right? I mean, they're gonna smell you.
It is, and then I use skunk oil. It's the only thing I found that will actually cover human scent, and I use a lot of men. Gene Wenzel back in the day, that's all we used, and we talked about it a lot. And used to, we take a Q-tip and dip down in it and put in the bark of the tree at different heights. 3 different heights is what I done. But nowadays, you don't have to do that. They make these little dispensers that made to put different scent in. And open them up and hang them on a limb and open them up there. And you can disperse it like that and then close it of your hut. So that's what we use now.
And so, Bobby, when you get in the stand, you've got these little dispensers full of skunk oil, and you just open those up?
That's exactly right. And I like to do one up about chest high and one down around my feet and sometimes about waist high. And I'll tell you, Joe, it's amazing the difference when you use them and when you use them. Whatever little scent that you've left on you, I use a good deodorant, Hunter deodorant. I hadn't known different in the brands, but I use a good deodorant. And if you forgot or missed a little something, maybe there's, we collect a lot of stuff in our backpacks, and they collect a lot of different scents. Sometimes you'll just miss something or forget something. Skunk oil usually does. That's the only thing I've found, and I've used everything. I did experiment with smoke a little bit, and I thought that was working pretty good. And until one time, it was a deer probably 75 or 80 yards from downwind, and it turned out. I never did know exactly what the deal was there, but I'm back to skunk oil, and that's all I use.
Now, you think the skunk oil, because it's so strong, it's actually masking or hiding the human odor. They hit the skunk oil, and if you've got it positioned at different heights in your stand, they're smelling that and just not smelling you? You think that's it, or what are your thoughts there?
That is exactly it. Me and you was talking the other day, and you said some people use a fox scent, of course, it's a predator. Second place is, when you go by a dead fox laying in the road over, you don't smell it. I think it's just the potency. How strong that skunk oil is that's overriding it.
Yep.
Now, I know a few old buddies. I got one down there in Pie, one of my neighbors. Now, I don't think probably skunk oil wouldn't help a bit.
He doesn't, a lot of hot water doesn't hit his body.
No, if you've seen him coming, as far as you can see him, you can smell him if the wind's right, and you can tell when you see him that he probably got a pretty long little bit there. But for most people, and Joe, some people do emit odor stronger than others. When I sweat, I can't smell myself, and people right around me sweat I can. Some people do a stronger odor. Now, I don't know. I think and I'm just lucky like that. It's just my glands are not as strong, I don't think. And I believe that some people might do the same thing I'm doing and have a more difficult time. Then again, they overlooking something that I spoke, their shoes or that, or so I know one guy that carried over to the woods with him, and he's sweating every day of the year. Then he'd wear it leather full of sweat. He'd wear that to the woods with him. You just got to use some common sense. Carry a sandwich, you know, in a good Ziploc bag, but it's not per se human scent. And these shoes, the brand of shoes you got too. When I go to the store to pick up some hunting shoes, I always open that box and smell, because that boot has been inside that box for no telling how long. Open that box lid and take a good smell. If you don't detect any odor, it's probably a good cover as far as not emitting a lot of scent. Now, lacrosse used to be the worst. You could open a box with lacrosse shoes in it, and you could smell them as soon as you open them. You didn't even have to try. But nowadays they're using something for that thing, because I hadn't a lot of odor, but there's still some of the boots that you can really smell that strong scent. Well, if a deer smells you and a rubber scent or a different rubber scent 2 or 3 times, that rubber just becomes human scent to that deer. So if you got a shoe that is strong, has a strong rubber odor, most deer have smelled rubber and rubber like that, the human scent in the same location, scent stream, and all of a sudden that's become human scent to them.
So what boots do you recommend, Bobby? I know you're big on the Limit-Trax, but what boots would you recommend a guy look into?
Muck is awful good.
Okay.
I used to use lacrosse, and I'll tell you, I used to go to extremes before I found a Limit-Trax. I would actually tie coon hides. I'd wrap coon hides around my feet when I went them last few yards to my stand, or if I had to cross the way the deer moves. But once the Limit-Trax come on the scene, I never had to worry about that. You can walk down the trail there is, and the oldest, smartest doe in the woods, Odie can come through right behind you, and she'll never drop her head. It's really improved my hunting a lot, but you know they're off the market right now. So
yeah, we're gonna work on remedying that here in the next year. That's something that you and I have been talking about, and I'm looking forward to getting those and getting them in our lineup. So excited about bringing those back, because there's lots of guys that absolutely swear by those.
Yeah, well, most anybody that's used them that hadn't contaminated them, that's kept them clean. I always keep them in the back of my truck in a pan. I don't wear them nowhere, but when I get out of my truck, head of the woods, and when I get in the woods, of course, I leave them at the bottom of a tree and I climb up the tree. But
yeah,
I don't know. You might consider wiping the drip of your bow down if you've shot all summer with it. It may have enough dead skin cells, especially if it's a softer plastic instead of real hard. There's just, let's see, if you got a hunting knife and you put WD-40 on it, if you're beat, you're just beat. I buy unscented gun oil and I use on my knife. I was just trying to think of little things that hunters might overlook. I think the main thing is the shoes and the hat. You'll sweat around the brim of your hat walking in and out. And some people wear it all season long, never even think about spraying it down good. And their shoes, your foot odor, I guess, is about the strongest. I do rub a antiperspirant on the bottom of my feet, and I think it helps the sweat glands. But the main thing is to spray them shoes down and put a boot dryer, and then wear the other pair, and then switch them out every night. And then about once a week, give them a good washing. I think that's the shoes is the biggest thing, not the rubber. If you've got something like muck or something, but just the odor that your foot builds up inside the shoe.
Yeah. What about breath, Bobby? Anything with breath?
I really don't think that's an issue. I really don't.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Now, you need to spray your clothes down. I don't go to the extreme I used to, but it's good. Going to go in the morning, spray them down sometime this evening, and hang them up and let them dry. I mean, if you want to spray every layer, that's what I used to do. 100% beat those. air my clothes and then let them dry before I went out. I still do it to some degree, not as much as I used to did, but that skunk oil, it covers a lot of mistakes, you know.
I'm excited. I'm gonna try that this year because we have such a problem down here in South Carolina with deer smelling us early because it's so dadgum hot. I can't wait to get some of that skunk oil and give that a try. I'm gonna have to look at what you got when I get up there next weekend and see. I mean, where do you get it from? Are you getting it from like a trapper or something, or are you just ordering it from?
You can order it online. You can just skunk oil or skunk scent. I don't know the difference in scent and oil. It may be all oil. Sporting goods, I found some at Dunham's this year. I really believe in it. I should have asked Gene the other day if he still uses it. Him and Barry, I'm sure probably do. But even skunks, it's overpowering and it's non-human. A lot of people just think that anything you take to the woods with you is an issue or can be an issue. It might get your curiosity a little bit. They're not going to turn and if ways rough, I just don't issue in it. There's a lot of stuff. People know a lot whitetail do that ain't true, Joe.
Yeah.
You know that. You've experimented a lot of different stuff that you've heard and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Bobby, that's exactly what we wanted for this segment. I appreciate the heck out of it. And, man, I'm looking forward to getting up there next weekend and getting these courses started.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think we've got a good thing laid out there, and we went through it this past week, and I think it went real good, and I think people's going to learn a lot, and that's, once you gain so much and benefit so much, pleasure and money also, but mostly pleasure for me over the years through hunting, you feel like you need to be a good steward of hunting and pass on good stuff where other people enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, with those guys, just watching their eyes light up when they were learning stuff, and it really was basically 48 hours of just knowledge, and it's so valuable. I mean, we talked about it with Paul and a bunch of the guys that it gets guys 10, 15 years ahead of trying to learn it all on their own. So it's thank you. That's all really I can say is thank you for being willing to share your experience.
Well, I'm glad too. It's all about woodsmanship, and it's a lost and dying art. And if we can do this here for 2 or 3 years, and I can teach people woodsmanship, then I'm all too happy to do that. Somebody sent me something the other day, an article on how to bait deer. I thought that was awful interesting. I'm just afraid that woodsmanship's been lost to the degree. Yes. I just think woodsmanship's. I got people coming by wanting to know if that's my dog sitting up there on that sign. I've got radar up about 10 feet in the air on it.
Well, go tend to him, Bobby. I gotta get Andy on the line next, and I'll text you this afternoon or give you a call, and we'll go over the course again. But I've talked with everybody, and everything's locked and loaded, so we are good to go.
I'm anxious to hear other people's view on this scent control on this deer hunt. I don't know if they close to mine or not. What I've learned, I had to learn from a podcast on my own, and I'm sure a lot of the people that you're talking to have too. Some people may say there's no use even trying, but I've had good luck at it.
So far, we are 2 for 2 with everybody saying the same thing, and I'm calling Andy next and see what he says, and then I got Don at 1, and then I got Adam Hays at 1:15. So we're gonna have a full list of guys, and I'll let you know when this thing gets. It'll be on the air next Wednesday, but I'll send you a link.
Thank you, Joe. Have a good day.
All right, buddy. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Andy May.
Hey, Joe. How's it going?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. You got a few minutes, or I got you at a bad time?
Oh, no. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Good. Just talked to Andrae. Just talked to Bobby. And I'm excited about this, man, because everybody's got a different opinion on scent control and what works or doesn't work. And, with you being, Andre's fairly mobile. Bobby is not. He's got his spots that he sits in.
Sure.
But with you being super mobile and doing some stuff off the ground, I think it'll be really interesting for guys to hear what your thoughts are on scent and if you do any type of scent control or anything like that.
Sure. Yeah, man. Let's go for it.
10-4. So what's your secret remedy? What do you do?
Well, I've kind of been all over the board with it, throughout my hunting career, I guess. I've went the total fanatic route, where I wash everything and use carbon clothing, and I was, using all the products, the sprays. I remember there was a carbon spray for a while. I was buying activated carbon dust and sprinkling it inside of my garments before every hunt. Spraying the boots down, using rubber boots, keeping the boots outside. I went through quite a bit of trouble to try to keep everything completely scent free. Kept everything in airtight totes and everything, and I still got winded by deer when they got downwind of me. And I kind of tapered back, and I even went to the route where I basically only washed my clothes and took a scent-free shower, and then didn't really do much else. Didn't even use sprays. And I honestly don't know that I noticed that big of difference at all. So that kind of made me believe that if my scent gets in a deer's nose in any way, shape, or form, he's gonna pick it up. I didn't feel like I could beat it. So then I was like thinking, can I make my scent profile so small that maybe he thinks I'm farther away, or maybe he thinks I was there earlier in the day and not there right now, So less scent coming off me. And I don't know, I've never been able to really feel confident that the efforts I was going through made that happen. So that kind of leads me to, a lot of different things, trying things, testing things out, and seeing what I thought, to where I am now, where I basically still, when I'm whitetail hunting, I still prefer, and I usually will take a scent-free shower.
Mm-hmm.
I just like doing it. I can smell my own body odor. I don't like it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, neither does the significant other. They don't like it either.
Exactly. Yeah, I like being clean. I like feeling clean. But with that said, I mean, there's times where I'm on the road and I'm hunting and I'm literally sleeping in the back of my truck. And I wake up and I go. So it really just depends. But most of the time, if I can take a shower before I go out, I will. And most times I can. So if not, I like to wipe down, maybe with some scent-free cloths or something like that, just to feel like I'm doing something. It's a part of my process, gives me a little more confidence. But other than that, I kind of wash my clothes in baking soda, and then I hang them outside, and I just kind of let air, basically descent them, just kind of let air flow through them for a couple weeks. And then I will throw them in some sort of zippered, airtight scent bag or tote of some sort. Because I do feel like when you get some, maybe some strong foreign odors, maybe if you have them in the garage or something and you got your truck running in there and you're getting fumes on them, I can smell that stuff. So I can't imagine it can help you in any way in the woods. I feel like it could only hurt you. It could only just bring more scent that might lead to a deer being on more alert. So I try to minimize it. But I still think when a deer gets downwind of me, if my scent is reaching his nose, he's going to pick it up. I don't feel like I have ever found anything that will beat the nose. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I stick with the rubber boots, unless I'm hunting hill country where I'm going to be doing a lot of hiking. Then I'll just wear a hiking boot, and I just know that the scent I leave on the ground is going to be more prominent. They're going to pick it up easier. They're probably going to alert more if they cross it. So I'm just way more careful about where I step. And I try to leave my scent trail in areas where I don't expect deer to come from. And if I do have to cross a trail or something, like to get to my tree, when I'm in close proximity to it, I'll either try to step over it, or I make sure I step and cross in a spot right where I can get a good shot.
Yep.
So that when they do pick it up, I'm already at full draw and I can let that arrow go. So my scent control more, I think, is trying to manage my scent. I don't want to be stinky. I don't want to be rank. But it's more playing the wind, playing the thermals, and more importantly, laying down my ground scent where I want it to be on my approach.
Uh-huh.
So with all that said, I still like to experiment. I still like to listen to other successful hunters, and I don't think in any way, shape, or form that I have it figured out. I know there's guys that go way more fanatical than I've ever tried, use scent lock clothing, and say that they can beat a deer's nose. And I'm not saying those guys are wrong, because I've actually never went to that level. So, and I don't really care to go to that level, to be honest with you. It's time consuming. It takes a little bit of the fun out of it for me. So I'm not super interested in doing it, but I'm not going to say it doesn't work. I'm just saying what I've tried, I haven't seen make a huge impact. But then I'll hear guys that use maybe, some different sprays, like from Buck Fever Synthetics, or, maybe some cover scents or something like that. Tarsal glands. I've heard guys use, vanilla extract, all kinds of different things. So I am still very much open to trying new things, because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy deer hunting, and I enjoy trying new things and seeing how things pan out, and see if they could make a little bit of a difference. And I'll say this. So I've been using Buck Fever Synthetics for a long time, since the late 90s, when I heard, when Mitch Rampala said that, he was using that when he killed that big giant controversial buck.
Right.
I've been using it on and off since then in mock scrapes and whatnot. And it works really well, for setting up mock scrapes. So then I got to thinking, I was like, deer obviously are not alarmed by this scent. They like it. Maybe I could use that as a cover scent. So several times throughout my career, I have experimented with putting these, those little Tinks scent cans.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. I've experimented with those. They don't have any scent in them. They're scent free. You add your own scent. Well, I would add the Buck Fever Synthetics to it, and I would put one, like 2 or 3 around my tree, and maybe one up there with me. Mm-hmm. And more or less thinking like, hey, deer like this smell. I'm not necessarily trying to draw deer in, but if a deer does happen to get downwind of me, maybe they smell that, and it's strong enough where maybe they come in to investigate, maybe they smell it and they're like, what's that? And they just kind of slowly walk away, as opposed to getting a full whiff of Andy and snorting for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And I've done that several times, just kind of committed to it for the year several times over the years. In fact, I did that this year again, because I was getting snorted at a lot. Every time a deer got downwind of me, I was like, man, they're snorting. They pick me up every time. And I'm like, man, I'm just getting winded a lot. So I tried it again, and man, I think it makes a little bit of a difference. I really do. I really felt like some deer got downwind of me, and they clearly smelled that Buck Fever, And I had some younger bucks, some does coming closer where I could have shot them, and then they're just kind of almost like confused. And, maybe they get a little whiff of me, or maybe they get a little whiff of that, and they just kind of meander off. And there's no harm, no foul. They're not lighting up the woods, snorting,
sure,
alerting every deer.
Sure.
And I'm not saying every deer did that, but it seemed like the reaction was more favorable than like super negative. And then I had some bucks cruising, downwind that clearly got a smell of that, like some 2-3-year-old bucks, and they came in to investigate. And some of them I could tell, they kind of picked me up, but they also had that scent, and they're like, they kind of want to leave, but they're not sure, and they're looking around, and I could have shot them.
Yep.
And I got blown at way less. So, it's something that I'm going to explore further, because I'm not going to say a blanket statement like I did this for a year, so this is what happens. But I talked to Troy Pottinger about it, and I told him, I was like, man, I'm pretty aggressive with my sits, because I am on such a short time frame on most of my hunts. Like, I got to get in there, and I got to get in their face and almost like force an encounter sometimes. So I am often in risky setups because it's high risk, high reward. And when you got 2 days to hunt and you're trying to get something killed, I mean, that's sometimes what you got to do. You sit back too far and you're just out of the game, and your time is up, time to go home. So I tend to, when I am on that kind of 3-day mindset, I am way more aggressive, and I will get in on them on the ground with a mobile setup, up in a tree, either way. But I tend to try to get real tight. And I was just getting winded a lot. And I ran that idea by him. I was like, I did this 5-6 years ago, and I felt like maybe it helped. And, he gave me his opinion. So I just tried it again, and I thought it helped a little bit. So
now, Andy,
my scent control is ever changing, but I'm not trying to eliminate human odor to the point where I feel like I can just ignore the wind and the deer's not going to pick me up. It's more about managing my scent on the ground, keeping my scent profile to a minimum, even though I know if they get it in their nose, they're going to pick it up. But maybe if I keep it as low as possible, maybe it beats it. It bypasses a couple deer that come by and they don't blow, and that could lead to a kill 30 minutes later, something like that. So I'll continue to experiment with different things, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm definitely not super fanatical, but I'm also open-minded and like to try new things. So that's kind of where I'm at.
What, so the Buck Fever synthetics, is it the same stuff that you're squirting in your mock scrapes that you're taking up into the tree with you, or is it something completely different?
Yep, it's just like a synthetic. I guess it's supposed to be like a synthetic urine. There's a pre-rut, post-rut scent, and then there's a rut scent. And I don't know what the differences are, but I've always used the rut scent. And then there's also a pre-orbital one. And I personally haven't had as much luck with that one. But I use the pre and post rut. And I mean, typically what I would do, or at least what I did this past year on most of my hunts, is like I would walk to the tree. I'm approaching from downwind most of the time, and I will set like one of those little Tinks cans to the left, one of those little Tinks cans to the right. I'm not walking 30 yards out of my way. I'm talking like 5 yards this way, 5 yards that way. It's kind of blanketing, where I'm at, and then I'll bring one up into the tree. So it's kind of like there's a flow there. So if a deer gets downwind of me, they're definitely going to smell that because it's at ground level and it's at my level.
Right.
And like I said, I need more data. I need more experiences with it to really feel super confident in it. But man, I got blown at less this year than I have, a lot, significantly less than, the last 4 or 5 years since I had tried it before. So I don't know. We'll see on that. But
No, that's good intel, man.
Yeah.
You know, I just hung up with Bobby before I called you, and you'll probably listen to this whole thing because we got Andrae and Don and Adam Hays are coming up next. But Bobby's big on skunk oil, man. He's big on skunk oil. He says that Gene and Barry use skunk oil, and he's been using it for years. And he takes a couple little canisters of it up in the tree with him, and he opens them up just exactly what you're talking about with the buck fever synthetics. And same thing. He said, you know, he still absolutely plays the wind and thermals right, but you can't always do that. And he says it helps. So it's interesting that that two of the guys are using, you know, a scent to help with the, you know, with their curiosity or with just getting by a little bit. You know, like they say, every little bit helps.
Yeah, and you know, I haven't done that the last 25 years, but I have, you know, I've picked like a couple of years, probably a handful of years where I've just done that, and I certainly didn't see any negative effects with it. If anything, it helped. It's just at least helped a little to, you know, moderate. But I think sometimes they pick that up and they like that scent. It's attracting to them, or it's attractive to them. And I think that they sometimes maybe they just miss that human scent just for a second. It gives you that split second to maybe get a shot off, or it just confuses them enough where they're like, man, I don't know. And they just kind of, you know, you've seen a deer walk away. They kind of look confused. They're spooked, but they're not spooked hard.
Yep.
They're not running through the woods snorting. And, you know, and then the hunt lives on. You know, the hunt continues on, and your buck might be coming through 15 minutes later.
Sure. No, that makes good sense. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to up my game a little bit this year on it. You know, I have been basically scent-free shower, clean clothes, send it. You know, because I did do all the crazy stuff with the ozonics and, you know, even had my own washing machine and dryer for just my hunting clothes. And, you know, just same thing. You know, deer still smelled me. So I was like, is it really worth doing this crazy extreme stuff? And debatable. You know, this is a debatable topic.
Yeah, and I know some absolute killers that don't do anything.
Yes,
and and they probably stink to high heaven, to be honest with you.
Right.
So I mean, ultimately, yes, you can kill mature animals if you are a good woodsman and you know how to read animal behavior and read sign and put yourself in the right position. You know, then it kind of takes all this stuff out of play anyway. But, you know, if you like to experiment and you like to try to maybe get a little advantage there, that might help you out. You know, I think it's worth diving into. I think enough guys have tried like the fanatical scent route and didn't feel like it made that much of a difference. And they're kind of tend to come back to something like you and I are doing, where we're just taking a shower and washing clothes. Or they just say forget it altogether and just go hunt.
Yeah,
it seems like that's kind of the natural route that guys take. They go fanatical, you know, kind of scent free, do a little bit, but nothing too crazy, and then they come for full circle. And then you got like, you know, a very small number of guys that just really believe in it, and they take it to a whole new level. You know, which I guess I'm just not really willing to do that. It's just, I don't want to take the fun out of it completely.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you're right. That it seems like there's three camps, and most guys fall into the do showers, clothes, and go. That seems to be the camp that most guys fall into. But interested in the buck fever synthetics, and definitely interested in the skunk oil. So that'll be something I'll give a try this year. And you know, it's so hot down here early that anything we want to test, we can test it in August, September here, and it's 98 degrees. And if it gives us even a little bit of an advantage, we can prove it pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one real quick story. I was hunting in Illinois once, and I had I used to do the same thing early on in the career. I used like skunk pee, fox pee, you know, things like that as like a cover scent. It's just it's kind of that time frame when I was experimenting a lot. And I was sitting in this funnel, and the only tree I could get in was on the south side of this funnel. The funnel ran from west to east, and the wind was out of the south. So ideally, I would want to be on the north side of this funnel. It pinched down on the river right there, but there was no tree. So what I opted to do was get on the south side and let my wind blow across the funnel. And I tried to just get up really high. Mm-hmm. And I had those scent cans with me, and I'm pretty sure it was fox urine. I can't remember if it was skunk or fox, but I sprayed a bunch of that stuff because I thought, this is, again, when I was experimenting, maybe I can mask the human odor a little bit. They'll just kind of dismiss it. Well, I had a big old buck come cruising through, and he was coming through, and he hit that scent from that urine, and he like completely locked up, and he was just like so on alert. But you know what? He didn't run. Mm-hmm. He was confused. He's like looking around, and and he stopped there, and he didn't spook, and I didn't have a shot at this moment. And then all of a sudden, he just kind of like looking, he looks confused as heck. And then he just starts kind of like, slow stepping away, and never picked up my scent. And then he hit an opening, and I got a shot and ended up killing him. So sometimes I think those like strong odors I don't know that it's definitely not masking your odor completely, but it's something that's just almost like, whoa, like what's that? And they're curious animals, and they're looking around, and it just gives you that split second. That's not something I am recommending, but I think that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anytime I did a thing 2 years ago with ozonics and got it all on video, and had 2 young bucks come in and spooked off of it big time, and then turned the machine off, and had the 4-year-old I wanted to kill came right in on the exact same path. Now, yes, thermals could have done a little something different, but it was in the afternoon, and it was early to my mind before they switched. But, just an odd smell because, ozonics is not big down here where I hunt in Richland County in the Columbia area. There's a few guys that run them, but it was a very foreign scent to those deer, and it kind of freaked them out. I could have shot both of them, but, man, they did. Once they got a nose full of it, they turned around and got out of there. So,
well, there's no doubt if they get a scent of human odor, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit, and they're not going to like wait and take a few more steps and give you that. More times than not, a mature animal, a mature doe, when they smell that, they're blowing, they're getting out of Dodge. But if they smell something like a strong animal urine, or maybe a buck fever synthetic, or something like that, that's not necessarily a scent they're scared of.
Right.
They're going to smell it, but they might just be like, okay, all right, that's weird, and then they just kind of mosey on. I've seen them go right through, just kind of look around, almost no care in the world, and just continue on their way. I've seen them come in, and they like lock up, and they're smelling it. They come in closer, and then I've seen them come in, and they don't like it, and they're just like, they kind of slowly turn the other way, and they just walk away. Yeah. and don't ever snort. And then it's like, your hunt is still good. You still got a good quality hunt ahead of you because they didn't make a bunch of racket. So there's something to be said for that. But we just don't really know what's going on in their head. So
yeah, well, you're managing the disaster, right? You're
exactly.
You're help mitigating that risk a little bit, and I think that's important.
I think there's definitely something to be said for that, and I believe it helped me out last year. So I'm going to continue with it for another year, and maybe we can hop back on and report back.
Yes, absolutely. This is ongoing. Whitetail hunting is ongoing all the time. So,
that's right.
Thank you so much for hopping on. I'm going to give Don a shout now and hear what he's got to say, because I assure you his opinion will be very direct.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Sounds good, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Mr. Higgins, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, you?
Man, I am doing wonderful. We are getting all kind of scent information today, and Bobby Worthington likes to bathe in skunk oil, so you'll have to get on him about that next time you talk to him.
Well, I definitely am going to listen to this episode.
Yeah. It's good. We had Andrae on first, and then Bobby just got off the phone with Andy May. And you know, the thing about the first three guys we talked to, Don, is they all do something, right? They don't take it to the extreme, but they all do a little something. And man, I'm excited to hear what you do, if anything, other than, you know, play the wind. I know. You know, now you do a lot of your hunts in the 360 blinds and you know, still do some lock-ons and some ladder stands and stuff. So real anxious to hear kind of what your process is, if anything at all.
You may be disappointed.
No, I won't. I will not be. That's what's so good about this is, you know, we're talking to 5-6 guys that have all been super successful on big giant deer. So it's good to hear what everybody has to say.
Yeah, there's more than one way to do it, that's for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
So what would be your take on all this?
Well, you know, in years past, I did it all. I did everything you could possibly do to control your scent. I even took the chlorophyll tablets. I carried a bottle around to pee in. I used the sprays. I used the soaps for taking a shower. I used the soaps for my clothing. I'd hang my clothing outside after they were washed, carried them around in separate tubs. I would change clothes outside next to my truck in freezing weather, spray down in freezing weather. I did everything I could possibly do, and I still got winded.
Mm-hmm.
And one by one, I started eliminating everything. It started with the pee bottle. I looked at that thing one day, and I thought, this thing has got to stink. And I thought, I'm going to try peeing out of my stand. And this is no lie. The first time that I peed out of my stand, within 15 minutes, a 2.5-year-old 8-pointer walks up and starts smelling the grass under my stand that I peed on and starts eating it. I thought, I've been whipping it out and peeing out of tree stands ever since.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, if a deer went through the woods and spooked every time it smelled predator urine, it would never stop running. It would just constantly run. It'd be like a Somali in the or Ethiopian in those long races, those marathons. It'd never quit running.
Right. Yep. So, you know, I slowly gave it up, and then I realized also that, you know, if you're playing the wind right, you could have worked in a hog barn all day and went hunting, and if you're playing the wind right, the buck shouldn't smell you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've mastered playing the wind and giving the bucks the wind, but figuring out the spot where I can give him the wind and yet he still can't get my scent. Yep. And access to the stand sites, everything. Today, I literally do nothing. I'm serious. In my garage, I've got a pile of Osseo gear, just sitting there on top of boxes and chairs and whatever. And it's not even in a tub. I don't even wash it, but maybe once a year.
Yeah.
If you've got the wind, you've got the wind. It doesn't matter. All that other stuff is worthless. And, you know, I see guys all the time saying, well, I know this works because I had does straight downwind of me or whatever. And they don't recognize how the thermals play into it. You can have a deer straight downwind of you, but if the thermals are rising, you're 20 feet up in a tree, it's taking your scent way over the top of those deer.
Without a doubt.
And so these guys that think I know this works because I've had deer downwind of me, yeah, maybe. But more than likely, the thermals come into play, or the wind was going a different direction than they thought it was. I've just never been able to beat a deer's nose, so I gave up trying.
Yep. So, I mean, Don, do you shower like in the mornings when you get up, or you just go right out to the garage, put on your clothes, and off you go?
I typically shower in the evening, when I come in from the hunt. So,
Yep.
I get up and throw my clothes on, have breakfast, whatever. I go to the woods.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm more successful today than I was back when I did all that other stuff.
And you're just 100% playing the wind, giving the buck that edge wind where he feels real comfortable, and you've got all your stuff set up so you can get in and out without them smelling you. And it's for you, it's all about playing the wind and your access getting in and out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think even if you could be, let's just suppose that you could be 100% scent free. And let's suppose that you could just magically drop out of the skies right down into your tree stand. That's a small part of playing the wind. You got to give a buck a wind he's comfortable with, or a mature buck, most of the time, he's just going to lay there till dark.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
I think a lot of these products, bow hunters are just using them as gadgets or shortcuts, gimmicks, to try to think they're going to fool a buck's nose. They're not going to fool his nose. And if he doesn't feel comfortable, he's not even going to be on his feet.
Sure. He'll stay locked in there or get in there before daylight and just bed up. Yeah, I mean, that's without a doubt, man. It is. Their nose is their number one defense mechanism, and they trust it more than anything else.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, you headed to a consulting visit, or you just out and about today?
Well, I just looked at 2 properties this morning. They were small, and I'm headed to look at a third. So I want to get 3 properties knocked out today. Good
for you. That's excellent.
Yep.
Are you in the great state of Illinois, or are you out in a different state?
I'm in Illinois today. I was out west in Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri. Got home Monday night and took a couple days off. And now I'm doing something local. Good
deal. Well, I know you're burning it at both ends. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us about that. And Lucas is looking forward to getting out there with Steve here in a couple days and learning some video and picture stuff. So that'll be exciting for him to get out there. He's sitting right here filming this episode right now. So he's giving the thumbs up.
Yeah, he's probably even going to be at my house before the weekend's over.
Good. Well, yeah, he'll love seeing he's got a big smile on his face. He'll love seeing your farm, so he's excited.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, good, Don. Well, travel safe, my friend, and I'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right,
Take
buddy.
care.
Thank you. We'll see you. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Mr. Hays.
How's it going?
Good, buddy. We saved the worst for last.
Oh, of course.
Who needs enemies when you got friends like us, right?
I hear you.
Adam, what we want to talk about today is scent control and what you do or what you don't do for that. We have talked to Andrae, Bobby, Andy May, Don Higgins, and now Adam Hays. So in your 40, well, now that you're 75 years old, what have you been hunting for how long now? In your 40, however many years of bow hunting, what have you determined and what do you do? Because, I mean, you're hunting the biggest deer in North America. So, I mean, if whatever you're doing, you obviously think works or you don't waste your time doing it. So fire away, take the stage and go with it.
Well, I mean, I definitely believe in it. I mean, other than, hunting where big deer live, I think the single biggest part of killing big deer consistently is obviously, beating their nose, beating their sense of smell. I think it's their number one line of defense.
Yeah.
And bar none. And I think that, guys that are consistently successful figure out a way to use that defense against a big deer, use it against him. I mean, that's what they live and die by, their nose, and you got to figure out a way to beat that. And I think probably my biggest strategy kind of revolves around giving a big buck the wind to his advantage. When I quit hunting winds that were good for me and started hunting winds good for the deer I was after, my luck on big deer changed dramatically. So that automatically puts me at a big disadvantage because I'm literally splitting hairs, on wind direction every time I hunt, trying to give a buck the wind to his advantage. Because I think, the one thing that's going to make a big deer more comfortable than anything else is if he's got the wind in his face or the wind in his favor when he wants to get up in the evening. So, right off the bat, like I said, I'm splitting hairs with wind direction. I don't think there's enough that you can do to, I don't know if you can ever completely eliminate your scent 100%, but the more things that you can do to eliminate it or, lower it to a point that is acceptable, if a deer does get a whiff of you, you've got to do all of it.
Yep. So what is, other than, using that wind or finding that wind or that chink in his route to where he feels safe and that's where you nail him, what is your regiment as far as showers, washing clothes, boots, sprays, ozonics, so on and so forth? What's your go-to during the season?
That's really a system like anything else. You got to start with, keeping everything clean, washing your clothes, obviously keeping them scent free, and then keeping them in a, scent free bag until you're putting them on to walk out to your tree stand. And, I think the ozonics has helped me quite a bit with that stuff, not only in the tree, but I used to not wear anything twice. I was probably way over the top on it, but I've always washed everything, wear it once and it gets washed. And these days with the ozonics locker, anything that touches my skin, I'll still wash it every time I use it. But like my outer garments, pants, jackets, vests, that sort of thing, I'll put them in the ozonics locker after I use it or before I go out to hunt. So that's kind of what I use as far as keeping all my gear clean and scent free. And I even put my boots in the locker, and I'll use those I forget what they're called, but they're like almost like a sock itself that you put down in your boots to absorb moisture and scent.
Yep.
It's all about the little details, So it's always the littlest things that make the biggest difference, at the moment of truth. So I try not to skip anything, no matter how small it is, because it's wild. You've been to my farm and seen, where I hunt right out the back door a lot. And sometimes I'll be out, in the late morning to make adjustments to something where I know I'm going to hunt in the evening, whether I got to move some stuff around or hang cameras to try to capture some video or, for any reason, I could be out there, 6, 7, 8 hours before I'm going to hunt in the evening. And it never fails, man. You always see a deer go right where you were, 7 or 8 hours later, no matter how careful you are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of guys give deer enough credit, but keeping everything as clean as possible. And then, obviously, like I said, I'm using ozonics in the trees. Sometimes I'll even use 2 of them if it's a windy day or I'm worried about the wind, deer getting around me, because it's, that first doe that comes out is just as important beating her nose as, the mature buck that's going to come out an hour or however long later. So, but using the ozonics, I'm always using some type of cover scent, using, a calming scent or an estrus scent, something to either attract or to cover up, but I'm always using a scent as well. So, it's the whole system, keeping everything clean, your clothes, your gear, making sure you don't put any of that stuff on until you're actually, heading out I'm not putting stuff on in the truck and wearing it to where I get to a spot where I'm going to hunt. I mean, I'm putting stuff on when I'm ready to walk to the tree. And, ozonics, a good cover scent like raw. I really like their calming scent. Mm-hmm. And then, I think a big thing is your head and your breath. I'm always wearing something, not only to cover my head and my mouth, but, using a foam or a spray on my head and covering up my mouth, and using, I use a baking soda toothpaste during season, and then I also use a mouthwash. I mean, I think we give off the most scent we give off obviously is from our breath. So I even do everything I can with my breath, and always wear some kind of mask over my face when I'm in a tree.
What about boots? What kind of boots do you run?
Just knee-high rubber boots.
And no particular brand that you like over another one, or you think smells less? Just as long as they're rubber, you're good to go.
I've used Lacrosse for a while. I'm not saying they're better than anybody else's or more scent-free than anybody else's. But I think you got to keep them clean. You got to keep that moisture out of them. That's why I put those scent bags down in my boots to draw the moisture out and the odor out. And then, they go in the locker as well. They go through a dry wash cycle as well to make sure that they're scent-free.
So since you've started using that locker, you've seen a difference in we talked earlier in the year, and you had like 40 deer come by you late season. You think the locker really helps? I guess it prevents you from having to wash everything.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely saves some time on having to wash everything. I'll still wash my outer garments, maybe once a week, and not like, every time I use them like I used to. But yeah, I mean, I think it makes a huge difference. The locker, the units, I mean, you've done filming yourself, just like I have, self-filming. And when you're carrying all your hunting gear and all your filming gear, I mean, it gets to be a lot of stuff. And I don't need to take an extra, anything extra in my pack. I'm already carrying 30 or 40 pounds of gear, it seems like. So I'm not going to take 2 ozonics out into the woods unless I really think it's, working.
Sure.
And I'm not going to hunt without them.
Yep.
Yeah, I've noticed a big difference. I'm not going to sit here and say deer's never winded me, in the last 4 years because I'm using ozonics. There's still that occasion when you get winded, but I've seen it work too many times to hunt with, to even think about hunting without it.
So your if I'm summarizing here, do everything in your power to stay as scent free as you can. Use the wind to give the buck the wind, or use that as a trick for him to make him think that he's safe. Use a cover scent or a luring scent and the ozonics to help cover your scent. That's kind of the Adam Hays system.
Yeah, I mean, everything I can do, like I said, it's their nose is their number one defense. So, you got to do everything you can to beat that. And yep. I don't think there's any shortcuts when it comes to that sort of thing.
No, it's interesting. I mean, everybody but one on the list is pretty fanatical about it. Mm-hmm. And I bet you can guess who's not fanatical about it.
I'll bet I could.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody is really into it, and which is surprising to me because I've personally gone kind of both ways on it, being real like crazy to where I had my own washer and dryer, to not doing anything at all, just going straight from the office to the woods. I seems like I would always take a shower. I don't know why. I just felt like that was a big thing, and then trying not to sweat. But it's amazing that, talking to 5 different guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and myself, is that all but one have a pretty regimented scent control system. And 3 of the guys, you and 2 other ones, use a scent. Use some type of scent. Bobby uses a skunk oil. He's big into skunk oil. Andy, he uses some buck fever synthetics that he'll open up, and then you're using your what is it, the calming scent, or a doe and estrus scent. So pretty neat, man. You know, a lot of guys say all that stuff's pixie dust and gimmicky, but I don't think anybody on this list would be using anything that they thought was a waste of time or wasn't giving them an advantage.
I think the big thing with the scent is trying to keep a deer's attention focused on something at ground level instead of up in the tree where I am.
Yeah.
You know, if it's making a mock scrape or hanging a scent wick or just something to try to keep their attention focused on the ground instead of up in the tree where I am. You know, some of that stuff works too good, it seems like sometimes, because the deer will come in and they're actually, you know, looking for the deer. So if you put it anywhere near you, you can actually kind of defeat the purpose and draw attention, you know, to your location. So you got to be careful with that sort of thing. But yeah, that's probably one of the bigger reasons why I use scents.
Yep. 10-4, man. Well, we sure appreciate it. Thank you for hopping on here for a few minutes and walking through your system. And I'll be seeing you in Columbus in just a couple weeks.
Absolutely, man.
All right, buddy. Well, have a good afternoon. Take care of that dog.
Oh, yeah, we'll do.
All right, buddy. Tell Shannon I said hello.
All right, man.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.